Hello and welcome back to Gadget Rishi. This is our special flight simulator series. Today we are going to demonstrate some very basic flying techniques. The aircraft we are using is Airbus A320neo. It's the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 edition, and it's we are playing this on Xbox Series S. So first things first, we release the parking brakes and set the throttle to maximum in preparation for our takeoff. We are flying from Ahmedabad, and we will be returning to the same runway after a short flight, about 10 to 15 minutes, and we will be landing back. So full throttle is applied, and as you can see, our airspeed is increasing. The takeoff speed is around 160, 170. We will wait for 170 knots. On the bottom left of the screen you can see, and as we have 170, we have gently pulled up on the yoke, preparing for the takeoff. So we are airborne now. So next thing is we have to retract the landing gear up. There the wheels are getting back to the parking position. We have a positive climb rate, and then we will disconnect the auto thrust. Just below the autopilot we have the auto throttle that we are disconnecting, so all the controls will be manual. Slowly reducing the engine throttle. We need only 100% for the takeoff, and after that we reduce to about 60-50%. So
Ahmedabad Tower Airbus frequency
now
change.
we will initiate a turn.
Ahmedabad approach
left
Airbus
turn.
is type Airbus A20 and 4 miles southwest of Ahmedabad, 2,400 feet. Request flight following.
Airbus Ahmedabad approach. Squawk 1744.
So if you have noticed, when we took off,
Airbus.
the flaps configuration was set to 10.
Airbus radar
Now we have returned it to 0 just after the takeoff.
3,600 feet.
We will not try to gain too much altitude. We will try to maintain around 5,000.
Roger Airbus.
So we have. Please pay attention to the VFR map on the top right of the
Request
screen.
clearance to transition
So
Charlie
we took off
airspace.
straight, and then we have took a left turn.
Airbus Ahmedabad
We will
approach.
fly for some time perpendicular to the runway, and then we will take a left turn again.
Cleared through Charlie
So
airspace
we are
Airbus.
flying parallel to the runway, and then we will fly past the runway, take a U-turn and land to the same runway we took off from. So now we will initiate a second left turn in order to come past parallel to the runway in the opposite direction, of course, and we have started the left turn. Now we are leveling the aircraft to maintain the parallel nature to the runway, the orientation being parallel, just flying in the opposite direction. So in this view you can see to our left is the runway where we took off from. So we have steadied our altitude around 4,700. We'll try to maintain that, not gain too much, not lose too much. Still we have a positive rate of climb slightly. So we'll not try to go more than 5,000. We'll try to keep it under that. So if you have observed, our altitude has slightly gone above 5000. So I will be reducing the throttle now, setting the engine power to about 33% before we initiate our left turn. And here we have started the left turn again, coming back to the perpendicular orientation to the runway. So now we are perpendicular to the runway, losing altitude, trying to bring it to 3500. That's the approach altitude. And I'm initiating the final left turn to have the runway just ahead of us. Keep paying attention to the airspeed, the engine power, the flaps configuration, and the altitude. So these are the important things which we have to always keep a track on. Yeah, the Ahmedabad airport is now coming in sight. We will try to center align the nose to the runway center. Let's see how best we can achieve that. Yeah, so now we are more or less aligned to the runway center line. So now we are preparing for landing. So first thing is landing gear. We will bring it out, landing gear down. Here you can see the wheels are coming out. We have slightly lost our alignment, center alignment to the runway. So I'll try to bring the nose in line. That's the runway. Keep paying attention to the altitude and the callouts of the heights, the altitude callouts 2500, 2000. We need to pay attention. Now we once aligned, we have to pay attention to the glide slope. There is a 3-degree glide slope which ideally should be followed. I am not an expert yet at this, but with practice over time, I believe we can work it out. Now keeping the runway just ahead of us and always maintaining a visual sight on the runway, we will adjust the engine throttle and the flaps so as to gain a gentle glide slope. So our airspeed at the moment is around 240, which is a little too much. I will try and bring it down. The nose is more or less aligned to the runway center line. So this is where I give my first flaps, 10 degree. Please note there are certain airspeed restrictions for the flaps, and that is why we can get warnings for overspeed, because for flaps there are speed limits. I am not an expert yet, but for every flap angle there is a maximum airspeed defined. So I am trying to control the speed, the rate of descent, engine power, all to match the glide slope requirement and just to be in time for the runway touch. So nice and smooth approach to Ahmedabad runway. Altitude is close to 1000 now. Airspeed is quite good, 160. We should have around 160, 170. That was close to our takeoff speed also.
300. 200.
Notice that I have increased the flap setting to almost maximum. Now as we approach the runway, we are gently pulling up on the yoke.
Retard.
And that's our touchdown. So immediately after we touch down, we have to reverse thrust the engines maximum and apply the brakes. And we have a very good slowing down on the runway now, more or less center aligned, airspeed reducing, and at this time we can return the flaps back to 0 setting, and we have gently landed on the Ahmedabad airport. So that was the a decent landing, I will say. Need more practice, but that's the basics.